So I've been at L&H for 40 years, and it was started 60 years ago. So we work on the biggest machines on Earth, and I was looking for my massively transformational purpose and my moonshot. Peter Diamandis from Abundance 360 talks about that a lot, and you really need to have a purpose in life, right? Mm-hmm. And I love L&H, and I love what I do at L&H, fixing big machines. But I knew there was something bigger. So a few years ago, I was working with some people on that, and it just came to me. But that my purpose in life is to innovate energy. And when I found that, it seemed like everything I'd been doing up till now. I started working at L&H when I was 14, and everything I was doing up till now set me up to be ready for this time in the world when they need a lot of energy, and I'm set up to help innovate energy. So that's why my purpose became innovating energy. And out of that, I met Marcio working with the state and doing product development and growing and diversifying the state of Wyoming's economy. And at that same time, the TerraPower Natrium project was coming into Wyoming. So I met those guys on nuclear, and then Evercore was born out of that. And so we're running Evercore as a startup. It's wholly owned by L&H Industrial right now. Someday we might have to, raise capital and sell off part of it, but that's going to be what I spend the rest of my life doing, is figuring out how to innovate energy, and Evercore will be the company that owns and operates the microreactors potentially, because that became my moonshot, is leasing microreactors globally.
That specific segment of energy, then that's where the main focus is.
Nuclear energy via microreactors that you can move around to customers, because there's a massive demand, massive shortage for energy right now that needs to be solved, and we're here to help figure that out and solve it.
And that demand's only going to go up and up and up.
It's going up because of AI, because of battery-powered cars, because of just economic growth, and we've kind of squeezed all of the energy conservation out that we can get, and now it's time to get back to growing energy.
Marcio, you were with I was looking through your LinkedIn. You have sort of an interesting background, so maybe give the audience some context of where you're coming from.
So when I first crossed paths with Mike Wandler, I was working as Director of Industrial Development for the Wyoming Energy Authority, which is the state of Wyoming Department of Energy. And we were working to support the TerraPower project in the state, but we are also looking at other reactor technology that could be very interesting for Wyoming to develop. Industries, they are classified as heavy industries or energy-intensive industries. So that's when we first crossed paths, but at the same time, I was working with the Toronto industry in Wyoming. They have some energy challenges, and some of the leaders of the Toronto industry were saying, hey, we are really interested in microreactors. And I was like, oh, interesting. Let me go back and see what a microreactor is it can offer for you. And before that, I work in economic development, but like you said, I have a eclectic background. I work in leadership development, and before that, I was in business, in the private sector. And if you really go back on time, I did research out of an industrial engineering school in welding for reactors. At the time, it was a German technology reactor that was to be built in Brazil.
So the question that comes out to me right away is I think we should clarify, these units, the end goal is these sort of smaller modular units, right?
So the most interesting thing to me, when you talk about micro, there's lots of different definitions for a micro reactor.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if we can ship it on a few semis and we can move it to a location and set it up, and then if they don't need it anymore, we can, we don't have a lot of fixed plant. We can pick it up and move it to the next location, because when you're talking about mining or any heavy industrial, they have 10-year plans, sometimes a little bit longer than that, but these microreactors can, potentially last 50 years. They don't have a 50-year plan, so we have to be able to move this around. And so to me, if it can fit on a semi and or a few semis and move to a customer and then be able to move later in 5 or 10 years if they don't need it anymore, that to me would be micro. And then SMRs, those are fixed plant. So that you're going to come into a large footprint, and you're going to put a lot of infrastructure in the ground, and it's going to just stay there. that doesn't really fit one mining plan.